Hello, my name is Ellie Davies and I'm a painter currently living in Brighton, going into my final year for my bachelor's degree fine art painting with the University of Brighton. I was born in Manchester and lived with my parents, younger sister and grandmother, and when I was 14 I moved to Cumbria. I believe moving to Cumbria and living in a very rural area opened me up to the idea of using influences from nature and looking at stories like folklore and myths, but transferred into this busy maximalist style inspired by the hustle and bustle of the city I grew up in. Additionally, I believe living in such a stunningly beautiful area of the country for quite a few years has made me want to be more aware of the way my art has affected the environment and the themes of the environment within my work, hence why I use a lot of reclaimed surfaces in my work. I feel like some of my biggest influences are the early female figurative surrealists, including Leonora Carrington and Leonore Finney. They were women who created these beautiful and sometimes disturbing worlds that empowered women. I was inspired so much so that the last exhibition I featured in and created was called The Debutante, inspired by Leonora Carrington's short surrealist story, The Debutante. I just love this idea of narrative in work and want to create more work in the future with this in mind. Right now, I'm focusing on combining illustrative techniques with realism portraiture to create works that from far away you see this full composition that is the main thing that catches your eye. And the closer you get, you see these smaller illustrative details you wouldn't be able to see from far away. So technically, I'm trying to create 2 paintings depending on how close you are to the work. And I'm also attempting to do this while combining narratives from myths and folklore, which I talked about before, and also self-mythology and short stories that I write. Also to do this, so I'm taking a lot of extensive reading to familiarise myself with lots of different stories and to find lots more influences. I feel my biggest challenge as an artist would have to be time. Time is definitely my challenge. I find myself coming up with lots of ideas I'm just so excited to execute, but I'm so focused on the detail that I try to create with my work. It takes me a long time sometimes to do the work. And as much as I try to remember all these ideas I have, and even with the use of sketchbooks, sometimes things just leave your brain quicker than you're able to get down, and it can be frustrating. I feel like the piece of advice I would have to give my younger self would to be calm down. I was so nervous about having an art career, and I think it just caused a lot of unnecessary anxiety. I just was scared about not knowing what my future would hold, and when I think about it now, as an artist, I still don't know what my future holds in a career in the arts, but I'm just able to control this fear a lot better now and would love to bestow that knowledge onto my younger self. I feel like if I have used unconventional mediums or techniques, it would have to be the materials I create my works on. So as I touched on before, I used a lot of reclaimed surfaces I find, usually wood and board I find in the streets. So I always tend to have some hand sanitizer and some gloves on me at all times. I actually prefer this surface though of smooth board compared to canvas, as the flat surface I feel makes it just easier to glide my paintbrush across. And sometimes I even leave sections of the boards with areas that are affected by the elements to show that this is in fact reclaimed materials, and if I had not taken them they would end up in landfill. So this just brings it all back to what I was saying before about emphasis on the environment within my work. When I'm painting, I'm always listening to something when I'm working. It tends to vary depending on what mood I'm in. Sometimes I'm listening to Florence and the Machine and Ethel Cain, sometimes Pearl Jam and Palais Royale, and sometimes even history or true crime podcasts. It kind of depends what I'm painting as well. So if I'm painting something with a lighter-hearted subject matter, my music and podcast tastes tend to be a lot more light-hearted. And if it's the opposite, my taste tends to be a tad more macabre. The best reaction I've had to someone looking at my work would be once when I bumped into a person and we just started chatting about my work and the things I create, and they asked to see a picture, and I showed them a picture of a painting that was in the works at the time. And just because of the process of how I lay out my work, I tend to paint the realistic sections of the painting first. So this was a picture of a painting with all the realistic sections painted first. And once I showed them, they said, "Oh no, can I see your actual painting, not your reference photo?" So this person had thought that my painting was a photo, and this just gave me a lot of confidence within my skills as realism painter. I would like people to take away from my work the feeling that they've been transported into this strange and new world full of unusual people and unusual creatures. I want them to feel like there's a story to be discovered within these images and these paintings, but they just can't quite put their finger on what it is. And I want them to be left wanting and just desperate to know more. Thank you so much for listening to me talk about my work. If you would like to keep updated on my journey as an artist, you can follow me on Instagram at Spookly. That is _SPOOKLLIE_ again. If you follow me on there, you can just keep updated on what I'm creating. You can take a look at my shop and everything I'm doing in between. I also have a TikTok under the same handle, and if you'd like to keep updated on my upcoming multimedia exhibition Dogfight, you can find more information on Instagram at Dogfight Exhibition. This is _dog_fight_exhibition_. And from here you can just see the process of just putting the whole show together. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you have a wonderful day, and I hope this brought a little bit of light to your day.